Welcome back. As we continue with the Abantu Book Festival feature this morning, our next guest is an actor, writer, performance poet, businesswoman. Wow, this list is quite long. Mom, you name her. Lebo Mashile's inspirational words has changed the mindsets of many, even of those who are far beyond Mzansi's borders. This week, Lebo will share her knowledge of the industry with other black writers and readers in Soweto at the inaugural Abantu Book Festival. She now joins me in studio to maybe give us a glimpse of what she'll offer at the festival. Lebo, so nice seeing you again. I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's good to see you too, Sam. I'm glad to be back, and especially glad to be talking about Abantu here.
Let's talk about the importance of a book festival that finally openly differentiates itself from everything else and says we need to give a voice to who I think throughout the morning we've heard very marginalized group of authors, and also dispelling this myth that black people don't read.
Absolutely. So last year, during the year of Roads Must Fall, Fees Must Fall, Thando Mngolozana stood on stage at the French Hook Literature Festival and called for the decolonization of South African literature and festivals. When I first published 10 years ago, there was a theory in the literary circles that South Africa only has 100,000 readers, right? And of those 100,000 readers, the majority of them are white women, you know? But if that were true, I wouldn't exist. If that were true, I wouldn't have an audience. If that were true, black people wouldn't know my work. I wouldn't be booked. I wouldn't be traveling, you know? So this perception needs to be dispelled, you know? This year, which is so exciting, Thando and Panashe Chigumadzi have put together the Abantu Book Festival in Soweto, which is the first black-run festival, literature festival in South Africa that is being hosted in a township.
Let's talk about the significance of that. The fact that we brought it to the people. It's in the township.
Well, I mean, Soweto is a huge market. What, 3-4 million people?
And it's diverse.
And it's diverse. And it's an international brand. You ask people anywhere in the world what they know about South Africa, they'll say Mandela and they'll definitely say Soweto, you know? So, I mean, we wouldn't exist if our people didn't read. We wouldn't exist if these communities didn't produce us. How can I say that black people don't read when the very same people who made me are right there in Soweto, you know? So the things that we write about in our work, the ideas that we are engaged in, the kind of creativity that we are producing, it speaks directly to our people. We shouldn't have to go through a filter, you know, to be able to get through our people. We shouldn't have to be distilled and hope that somewhere those sprinkles are able to scatter on black people when these messages are written for them, you know? So I think also it undermines the intelligence of black people to say to black people, you don't read and you're not educated enough.
And it is this myth that's perpetuated continuously. Let me ask you, and let me digress just a little bit. Tomorrow we're reflecting on Tata Madiba. It's 3 years since his passing.
Imagine that.
And then your event starts on the 6th to the 10th.
Yes.
Was that purposefully?
I don't think it was deliberate. I think it's a divine coincidence, but certainly it's quite apt.
Because he was a prolific reader, he was
Absolutely.
prolific around education.
And prolific, a prolific producer of knowledge and ideas and theories, you know. And also, you know, called Soweto home for so many years, you know, and made such a huge impact in that community. I'm excited about the fact that, you know, it's school holidays now, it's at AA2, it's at Soweto Theatre. So, you know, it's right in the heart of the community. This is a place that is easily accessible to most people. And there are programs running.
And it's beautiful. We don't talk about how beautiful Soweto is.
Yes.
We just don't talk about it.
It's so true.
We label this township thing and we always have this negative perception, but Soweto is a beautiful place.
Yeah, and it's also about encouraging people, you know, suburbanites and white people too, and Indian people and everybody else, you know, get on the freeway and go. It's secure, it's easy to get to, the signage is great. You will have a fabulous time. Come with your kids. There's programs running from the morning right until the evening, literature workshops. If you want to write, there's master classes where you can learn about writing from your favorite South African writers. In addition to poetry programs, there's a musical component, book readings. I mean, Thando, I take my hat off to him because a lot of us complain in this industry, in creative industries, about the fact that creative industries are not transformed, you know? But to go in the space of a year from calling for the decolonization of literature.
And then to actually set it up. That's a feat in its own.
I was in Nigeria last week. People are talking about Abantu in Nigeria.
Yeah, wow. When do we, and I don't want to put any pressure on an event like this, and I don't think, because it is a pioneer in its space, it's very, very difficult to then ask this question, but how do we measure impact, success, How do we make sure that we can have a credible conversation about the value this event brings post this event? Do we need to wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years before we can actually talk about it?
Wow. I think when a shock in culture happens, it creates a ripple effect, and you don't necessarily know where that ripple effect will end, you know? When the students started calling for roads to fall, we didn't know that that conversation would expand to literature, would expand to encompass, you know, the creation of a festival like Abantu. So for all of the people who will be participating in this festival, particularly audience members, those who are coming for writing workshops, those who are coming who have never been to a literature festival, you know?
And as this horrible preconceived idea of what it is.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be big people talking big English, saying alienating things, not realizing that this is about you. It's for, by, about you, you know? I think the ripple effect will measure it in how conversation changes, in how black writers are positioned, in how black intellectuals are positioned, in how black people are seen as a market for literature. That's how we're going to measure
because
it.
you know, you highlighted something very interesting for me, and that I just picked up on it. It's the positioning of black writers.
Yeah.
Sales in terms of books. When we do something like this that changes the narrative, society, the culture shock, how do we then get the mainstay guys who own the bookstores, and they're not predominantly black owners though?
No,
they're sitting in white corporate South Africa.
Absolutely.
Do we drag them to the Abantu Book Festival, or do we make such a big noise that they have to start acknowledging that, you know what, there is this entire community of readers that you have marginalized for years?
We make such a big noise. We take the pictures of the audiences, we show the full houses, we show the kids who are having the discussions in the workshops, and we say this is a market that deserves to be fed. And if they are not going to feed it, there are enough black business people, there are enough black entrepreneurs who are going to realize that actually this is a viable market. These are people that we need to be speaking to. We don't own the value chain of production, you know, when it comes to knowledge industries, when it comes to any industry in South Africa, especially the book industry. So there's space for black people to get involved.
When we put a festival like this together, I think it's beautiful to hear from people like yourself. You're accomplished and all that, but this is also a voice for those that self-publish.
Yes,
for those
definitely. I'm self-published too.
Well, you've at the top of the food chain. But this is also a beautiful platform for those.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. If you want to learn about the production value chain of books, come to the festival. If you have interest in politics, identity, knowledge, if you have interest in the world of words and ideas, come to this festival. If you're a reader, come to this festival. If you think about becoming a reader and you've never had the space to engage with the world of letters, this is for you.
Lebo Mashile, it's always beautiful talking to you. You know, she's got so many titles. I don't know if we have enough time to go through the writer, the actor, the poet, all of that. We just don't. But she will be available at the Abantu Book Festival. It starts on the 6th, run to the 10th. It's in Soweto. It's a beautiful part of South Africa. You've got no reason not to go. We take an